All praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about basically the culture of Israel and how the word culture. I could pull that up real quick, the word culture, in edomonline.com. And we're going to talk about the culture, what Hebrew, we did a video on this prior, it was kind of like going back into it again. What is Hebrew Israelite culture and what is going into the word culture and what it is and what kind of culture are we supposed to be within, matter of fact, give me, start off with that in Luke 21, I think it was 21-24, if I'm not mistaken, right?
22
and 24, hold that real quick. When you got that, read the word culture. Right?
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the word culture, it says mid-15th century, the tilling of land, from Middle French culture and directly from Latin cultura, a cultivating agriculture. Figuratively care, culture, and honoring. From past particle stem of colere, to tend, guard, to till, to cultivate. See colony.
Right, colony. Well, also to go into the word cult as well, because that's along the lines of the word cult, which the word honor was in there, which is the same concept. When you honor something, you make it greater, you make it better than you, Essentially, it's a form of worship. Go ahead.
Yeah, the word cult is a noun from the 1610s. Worship, also a particular form of worship, from French culte, from Latin cultus, care, labor, cultivation, culture, worship, reverence.
See, it's the same concept, to honor, to make reverence, and that's what you're supposed to do with your brethren. You're supposed to hold brothers in a high regard, man. So basically, that's a part of the culture. That's what our culture is. When you look at other cultures, when you look at other religions, so to speak, it's typically the exalting of a woman, in which in our culture is the culture of exalting a man, because get that for me real quick. Deuteronomy 28 and 64. Because you gotta look at it from the perspective of course, yeah, we're in the curses, but the scriptures talk about if we were doing the right thing, this is the things that we would do. These are the things that we're supposed to strive for, on the flip side, because it's a part of the curses, that means that's something we're not supposed to be doing. So you want to do opposite of what the scripture said that we would be doing, that we were supposed to be doing. Go ahead. Was it 54? 54. Go ahead.
This is Deuteronomy 28 and 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother.
See, the eye shall be evil towards his brother, and that's contrary to what it's supposed to be, right? They said that the man that was tender and delicate among you. Now you look at the culture of Jake right now. Jake's culture is really real evil towards one another, man. Even the way Jake conversate and Jake play around when he first come around. Jake always talking shit about Jake. It's like the culture of Jake is just like so negative towards each other, is to the point that that's what the speech is. If you're not talking that speech, then you a foreigner. You're outside that nigga culture, like brothers like to say, man. Black culture, if you will. Black culture, just all it is death. Constant negative is negative. It's basically derogative towards your brother. It's really, it's basically shit talking. It's downplaying, But when you come into Israel, you put on you shed that superfluity, which is that excess man, which used to conduct in that manner, and you flip the script. Brothers was talking about how it's Jake's culture and nigger culture and black culture. Hospitality is not common, but in this, the culture of Israel, that was the norm. In fact, there's a law on, roughly paraphrasing, if you basically what, if the time will come where all men will have to return to Jerusalem. I forget where the law is, but if you were able to help your brother returning to Jerusalem, you were supposed to. Like there were during the travel, Jake used to help each other on the midst of the travel, you know, and they didn't have to know them, but they knew that they were Israel. And that goes back into the nationality thing again, because once you come into the understanding of who you are and your nationality, then you're gonna help your fellow brethren that you know is right in the Lord, because that's what the scriptures say. You know, the scriptures don't talk about helping any old body. The scriptures talk about helping someone that you know is a man of understanding. All right. And we see that throughout the scriptures. We're going to bring up some points in the scriptures of where that's the Israelite culture, to basically humble yourself and make yourself lower than the next man. One saying I like to say, I always talk, a lot of times I say it in my mind, you got to know how to, what did I say? You basically, you got to know how to wash feet. That was the one thing you would know, but at the same time, Yahweh Shai was very harsh and direct to his disciples, but at the same time, he washed their feet. So you got to know how to do both, you know, in this truth amongst brothers. Proper etiquette, if you will, goes a long way. You know, proper etiquette shows honor. It shows you're part of the culture. It shows that if Yahweh Shai was to give you power, then he knew you wouldn't be a tyrant. Because the scripture says what? Riches are not comely to a niggard, you know? So, let's go. What I call?
Luke 22?
Yeah, let's get that. 22 and 24.
This is Luke 22, verse 24. And there was also a strife among them, which of them should be accounted the greatest.
Yeah, talking about the 12 disciples, man, during the time of the Passover, right before Yahweh Shai's death. And they were just being Jake. They was, you know, man, I'm look, just having that, trying to have that one up on another brother, you know,
Come on.
like that competitive nature, you know. That's Jake. Jake is very competitive. Jake is very, you know, how you call it, harsh to one another, man. Like I said earlier, but go ahead.
Come on. And he said unto them, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them.
Right, other cultures, the kings of the Gentiles, right? Other cultures, this is what you see. You see, like in the movie 300, you had Xerxes, and he had basically the men, they fall in line, bow their backs, and he step and walk over his servants. So he said you see that within the kings of the Gentiles. Go ahead.
Come. The kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them.
Right.
And they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors.
Right.
But ye shall not be so.
What did we say benefactors was? You read it earlier.
Like Lord.
You know, lordship.
Come.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Verse 26. But ye shall not be so. But he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief as he that doeth serve.
Remember we talked about that earlier, the word chief. When you go back to the Hebrew, Deuteronomy, the 18th chapter, when Jethro gave the order to Moses, he said, you set up chiefs and captains. The word chief there is ra'ash, meaning the heads. So the heads, when Yahweh Shai said that, he said ra'ash. All right, so read that again.
Come. Let him as the...
because that order never went anywhere. You know, order is always going to be around, but he's telling you, look, when you have amongst your order, the chief that are amongst you is supposed to be the top servant. Go ahead.
But he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief as he that doeth serve.
Because it's about glory and humility, man. You have the balance, okay? Because glory deals with power, deals with lordship, which you're going to have that in Israel. But at the same time, you have a man, the scripture says what? To much is given, much is required. Another scripture says what? The more greater thou art, the more humble thou shalt be. You know? So go ahead. Hey, Duquar, look that scripture up. The more greater thou art, the more humble.
It's Sirach 3.
Sirach, the 3rd chapter? Okay, you get it then. Go ahead. Since you know exactly where it's at. Okay, so yeah, basically explaining the culture of Israel. You know, it's not about, you know, who's greater, because the greater is going to be the most humble. Go ahead.
This is Sirach 3, verse 18. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before the Lord.
See, thou shalt find favor before Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, because that's what works amongst Israel. You know, that's what works amongst Israel. Real quick, go to Psalms 133 and 1. All right, because that's what Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. That's how Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is pleased amongst brothers that dwell in unity. The only way that works, especially in the time of now, where you got Jake got egos, Jake be feeling themselves. You humble yourself in a scenario to where it's like, you know what, okay, you know, that's what the scriptures say. You heap coals upon his head. You know, if a man is wicked and you do gun unto him, you know, he heaps coal upon his head. Go ahead.
Come on, this is Psalms 133, verse 1. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments.
Keep going.
As the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life forevermore.
Yeah, even the Lord commanded the blessing. But I thought that was the one who was going to talk about how the Most High, he basically loves brothers in unity, man. That's pleasing to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, the brotherly love and unity. That's why in the New Testament is, or the New Covenant is what? That basically that the men, you're going to keep the laws perfectly. And what is that going to equal to? The men of the Lord with the men of Israel getting along. Because what? It says no man shall say, what does it say? What does he say? No man shall basically correct his neighbor.
Come
you know?
Hebrews.
Yeah. We don't got to get it. But, you know, that's ultimately what the New Testament is. You know, now go back to Luke 22.
Come on.
And then finish that off.
Come on. This is Luke 22, verse 27. For whether is greater he that sitteth at meat, or he that serveth? Is not he that sitteth at meat? But I am among you as he that serveth. Right,
because being that in Israel, you do have rank. You do have men that are greater. You know, even in the spirit, man. You know, you have men do have men that are greater, but the greater men show servitude in Israel. All right, which are the ministers. All right, and the apostles and elders do that very well with week after week with the videos. Daily they make videos, man. So they're the top servants in Israel right now, man. You know, keep going.
Come. Verse 28. Ye are they which have continued with me in my temptations, and I appoint unto you a kingdom as my Father hath appointed unto me.
Right. All right. That's good on that. Go to Second Kings, the 4th chapter. All right. Because again, we're going to show the custom and the culture of Israel how it's about servitude. It's really about man worship, if you want to get technical, man. Because all gods and all deities go back to Semiramis Tammuz, which was basically woman worship, you know. And during that time, all nations were heaping unto that philosophy, and they spread forth, and they basically put their own twist on it. That's why you got the East Indian god, the Shiva. You know, the Greeks, if I'm not mistaken, or the Romans worship Diana. You know, it's all about woman worship, man. Semiramis and Tammuz with Egypt. You know, it's all about woman worship. Ashtoreth, if you will, the goddess Ashtoreth, with the Assyrians, if I'm not mistaken, they kept that deity as well. I know Ashtoreth goes back to Egypt and the Philistines and the Canaanites as well, you know, which is all about woman worship, man. You know, just like, you know, basically Esau he made this big hermaphrodite god, man, Baphomet ultimately, man, to where it's like man and woman and beast, you know. You know, that's another topic for another time. You got something?
Con. Yeah, they was going into when we read the word culture, it goes into Tilith, right? And the brother said it's basically men pleasing. This is Sirach 20 verse 27. A wise man shall promote himself to honor with his words, and he that have understanding will please great men.
Yeah, he that have understanding will please great men. All right, be at their servitude, man. All right, and it doesn't mean that the man is necessarily greater than you. He's another great man, so your aim is to please, you know, Because the scripture says what? Whoever gives water unto a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. All right? Go ahead.
Verse 28, it says, He that tilleth his land shall increase his heap, and he that pleaseth great men shall get pardon for iniquity.
See, he that pleaseth great men shall be pardoned for iniquity, man. All right? That's the culture of Israel, man. All right, go ahead.
Start from the top for
Nah. Give me a second. Yes. Start at verse 8.
Come on. This is 2 Kings 4 verse 8. And it fell on a day that Elisha passed to Shunem, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was that as oft as he passed by, he turned and thither to eat bread.
Right. Now that word constrain, all right. Hey, you do me a favor, pull that up. 2 Kings chapter 2 chapter 4 verse 8. If I'm not mistaken, I want to make sure that's the word 2, 8, 2. Yup. Watch. Let's see what it says. And in the margin it says lay hold. All right. That's how aggressive this woman was, man. When she seen a man of the Lord. All right. She said she constrained him to eat bread. You know, she knew this was a man of the Lord, being Elisha, which was an understudy to Elijah, which they had a reputation, right? So she seen this man coming down the way, which is a man of the Lord. She basically hemmed him. She basically arrested him so she can serve him. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Hebrew word is chazak, and it says, "To strengthen, prevail, harden, be strong, become strong, be courageous, be firm, grow firm, be resolute, be sore." When you go down to the
Strong.
Yeah, I'm gonna go down to, it says 3 of 12. It says to press, be urgent.
Yeah, be urgent, man. You know, because that, like you read earlier, whoever pleaseth a great man shall be pardoned of iniquity, man. So this woman, she understood this, man. All right, which is an Issacharite woman, as we're gonna read, because Shunem is a resting place. Word Shunem, when you look it up, it means double rest. So it's a resting place or a refugee or a refuge, if you will, for the inside the lot of Issachar. All right, so keep going.
Come, verse 9, it says, And she said unto her husband, Behold, now I perceive that this is an holy man of Yahweh, which passeth by us continually.
Right, so she did it in order too. She grabbed him up. Then she went to her husband to ask permission to do it. All right, keep going.
Let us make a little chamber, I pray thee, on the wall, and let us set forth him there a bed, and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick, and it shall be when he cometh to us that he shall turn in thither.
Right. So she basically was how you call it, like auctioning his presence ultimately, because just, you know, hypothetically speaking, or through extrapolation, you're thinking like, okay, everybody knows that Elisha's coming, you know, so there's probably, you know, some other people that wanted to do the same thing, but she made sure she decked it real nice. So she said, so he doesn't turn thither, meaning so he don't go nowhere else. You know, we gonna serve this man right quick. You know, just like Abigail when she seen David, but her husband, what was the dude name, man? Nabal was being a hardhead, but Abigail knew what it was.
Cool.
See, some of these women got more balls, so to speak, or some of these women got more ethics, if you will, or, you know, hospitality than the men. See, that's the thing. Men don't understand in today's age that you're supposed to be hospitable to another man. That's a part of the worship. That's a part of our culture. All right, keep going.
Cool. And verse 11, and it fell on a day that he came thither, and he turned into the chamber and lay there. And he said to Giza his servant, Call this Shunammite. And when he called her, she stood before him. And he said unto him, Say now unto her, Behold, thou hast been careful for us with all this care. What is to be done for thee? Wouldst thou be spoken for to the king? or to the captain of the host? And she answered, I dwell among my own people. And he said, What then is to be done for her? And Giza answered, Verily, she hath no child, and her husband is old. And he said, Call her. And when he had called her, she stood in the door. And he said, About this season, according to the time of life, thou shalt embrace a son. And she said, Nay, my lord, thou man of the Most High, do not lie unto thine handmaid. And the woman conceived and bare a son at the season that Elisha had said unto her, according to the time of life.
Yeah, that's the point right there. She got a mean blessing right there, because that was a dishonorable thing for a woman not to be able to bear children. All right, so being that she did that, she got a heavy blessing. You know, and it said that her husband was old. All right, she didn't go pop off with some other dude, if you will. Pop off. You know, she didn't go slide off with some other guy. You know, basically Elisha brought forth a miracle because of that, man. She got a blessing, man. All right. Anything else? You got something? We could just you know, if you got something.
No, I was just looking up the word. I was looking up Hebrew hospitality.
Oh, okay.
But I don't got nothing concrete right now.
Okay. It's cool. You got something?
Well, look, I got the opposite, like niggas culture or whatever. What Yahweh Shai said about niggas cultures.
Right. Go ahead. If you got it, go ahead.
Khan, this is Mark chapter 9 verse 35. And he sat down and called the 12 and saith unto them, If any man desire to be first, the same shall be last of all and servant of all.
Khan, you want to speak on it? Go ahead.
Khan, so like niggas culture is to be the man, have the preeminence, try to stunt on other niggas. But Yahweh Shai said if you have that mentality, you're going to be the least in the kingdom of heaven.
You know why? Because that's being presumptuous. You know, you think you're bigger than the power. You know, that's why they're going to come back with their heads down ultimately. Why? Because these are the same guys that, you know, ITR, you know, all the bug outs, they seeking preeminence and knowing that they're supposed to be up under the order. All right? So you got something coming to you, man. All those that oppose the order of things, because that is the other side, you know, through the spirit, you know, that is the other side. You are supposed to, you know, give reverence to those great men. You got to know how to play your role. You know, you got to know when to step in, know when to step out, you know. Hey, but with that, you know, all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, double honor to our apostles and elders, great millstone, shalom to the elect.